Three, two, one. Welcome, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We are right now in our members only, and welcome here, everybody who is a member. Today we have the one and only right here in VIP members only, all access, Jackie the Jokeman, Martling. You may remember Jackie from being famous for the head writer of the Howard Stern Show for 15 years. Well, now Jackie the Jokeman is back. He has a new documentary, and you can find that documentary streaming right now on all platforms. It came out July 18th, which was 2 days ago. You can stream it now. Apple TV, Amazon Prime Video, Google Play, Fandango, and links will be in our description down below. And Jackie's also on Cameo. But we're going to talk to the Jokeman. But in the meantime, this is Coffee Talk. You're beautiful, and it all starts now. Don't touch that dial.
It's Coffee Talk with the Tika. Nothing rhymes with that but chicken tikka. We name drop here with Stephen and all his friends.
For years, we all thought Howard was one of the quickest comics ever. And then you find out that's Jackie Martling.
It was amazing to watch him. He was 2 steps ahead of everybody. Joke, boom. Joke, boom. When that cast of the Howard Stern Show was in its prime, you couldn't stop. They were the best thing in entertainment. I think that works. Oh my God, that just said that.
You guys could all see it right now. It came out July 18th, but do me a favor, stream it now on all platforms like Apple TV, Amazon Prime, Google Play, Fandango, and Jackie is also on Cameo. I'm going to put links in our description. Also above Jackie's head, after this, you'll see something pop up. It's going to take you to Jackie's world, and click on it because Jackie has been in my life forever. I grew up with you. It's like you helped me through a lot of stuff.
Don't scare me.
I'm scaring you, but I have a mutual friend, and we were talking.
Don't scare me. Don't blame me. Go ahead.
It's because of you I got 101 kids. Now listen, Jackie, I'm gonna say something. A mutual friend.
You missed the week on contraception.
Huh? My second removed cousin was on the same show you were on, Red Fox Dirty Jokes. Then he gave me a little tidbit knowledge about another guest that was on there, kind of connected to Lenny Bruce. I was like, really? I was all fascinated with this.
No, this is not Bob Schimmel, or this is Lenny Bruce's girlfriend.
Well, Lenny, he told me about Lenny Bruce's girlfriend, and I was like, really? She was with
his last girlfriend before he passed away. She has a very weird name, and she was really nice and really fun. So who are you related to?
He was talking about Lotus Weinstock.
Lotus Weinstock. So I know you're not related to Ronaldo Ray or Dice. So you must be related.
Wait a second. The last name you just said.
Dice.
Andrew Dice Clay.
Dice swears that video was what launched him. He's always told me that.
He has said everything but great stuff about you.
That's very nice. You know, me and him go way back, like 1980, the East Side Comedy Club. We go way, way, way back. We've always got along really great. We had a couple of little radio battles on the Stern Show. So people thought we were, enemies or something. We all know that that's such horse crap.
Andrew.
No.
You're both to the puppet of Jack.
No, you're talking to me.
Oh, okay.
You're both making points, but you're yelling over each other. Jackie Dice gave you an opportunity to say one thing.
But he didn't say nothing.
Well, let him say one thing, and then you respond to it.
I said everything I had to say.
All right,
and we've always gotten along really great. So give him a hug. I saw him, how long ago? I'm at that age where I don't know if it was 6 months ago or 3 years ago, but I ran into him at the Carnegie Deli. And that's probably been closed for 4 years. So who knows?
I'm a musician. You're a musician, and here's a small connection. Your producer who produced your documentary, he produced a documentary of a guy I used to play with. I used to play with Dee Dee Ramone. I played bass for him.
Ronnie Thomas?
Ronnie Thomas did a documentary called Hey, Hey, Is Dee Dee Home?
Ronnie is the greatest guy in the world. And I didn't know Dee Dee. I only knew what's his name? Joey. And
Joey.
You didn't really know him because he was on Pluto, but he was a very nice guy. And I did a couple autograph signing shows with Marky Ramone.
Oh, Marky.
And I've never gotten it straight. Who's a Ramone? Who's not? For all I know, you're a goddamn Ramone.
Nobody's a Ramone. There was only, nobody's a Ramone. You had a Jew, you had a German. It's like a bad joke,
No, they went to a bar and played music. I know it's great. It's great.
But I'm actually very excited. And you know what? Your documentary made me love you more.
Guy says to his wife, "Are you faking it last night?" She's now is really asleep.
I'm thrilled that you watched it. I don't know if the proper expression is it came out, it dropped, it posted, but it became available to the world per se on Tuesday. And by last night, today's Thursday, last night, Wednesday night, we were number 4 in iTunes, but number 4 documentary. So I tell people, I don't know if there's 1,000 iTunes documentary or there's exactly 4 and we're number 4. Although, you know what? We were number 6 and then we jumped. We actually leapfrogged over Yogi Berra. There's a great documentary called "It Ain't Over" about Yogi Berra, which is a tearjerker. It's just so good, and just seeing myself next to a documentary on me next to Yogi Berra, that's all the reward I need. I can die now. Fantastic.
That is fantastic. You topped over the king of Yoo-hoo over there.
It's me, he for you.
But you know what? In the documentary, and it's true, they quote, that radio team, when you came out with the Stern Gang, it was the Beatles of radio. There was nothing like it. You felt like it was your friends hanging with you on the radio.
When I first said that, I called us the Beatles of radio. I got berated and they beat me up and made fun of me. And then the world picked up on it. And all of a sudden, no, that wasn't Jackie that said that. He's crazy. He thinks he said everything.
Joke man, he's late and he walks in angry at us.
Yeah.
Who's angry?
That's all the time.
It's your show.
I don't care about your show.
Farting around, you jerk.
No, you're not. You're angry?
But a lot of things, there's a lot of things I said first. Oh, yeah, he made that up. Yeah. A great story. We used to do a bit on WNBC when I first got on there. Howard said, we need something for you to do. And we started playing Stump the Comedians. But when you take phone calls from the audience, they're all idiots. Everything was either way too racist or way too filthy. They know. So Howard's like, Fred, go in the other room and you call in and we'll give you jokes. And that way we can make them, almost too dirty for the radio. So I'd give Fred a bunch of jokes and he'd call in. And around the same time, I was working in Florida with this really, really funny guy, Kelly Rogers. And on Sunday nights, we all used to do each other's acts just to be stupid or just completely fool around because the manager took the night off. So we the kids took over the candy store. And Kelly used to do a comic. It's funny because it probably approximated my act, but he was a Catskill comic called Shecky Flemstein. Okay. So Fred starts calling the show. And in this voice that you could not tell if it was a man or a woman, it sounded like an old Jewish woman, or it sounded like hello, Howard. It was so funny. And after a couple of weeks, somebody said, "Who is that?" And I said, "Oh, that's Mrs. Flemstein who keeps calling in. That's Mrs. Flemstein." And then a couple of weeks after that, or a month after that, somebody says, "Where do we get that name for Fred's caller, Mrs. Flemstein?" And I said, "I came up with that." And they all like, yeah, right. You came up with that. So meanwhile, Kelly Rogers is all pissed off at me because I took his name, because Flemstein is the most funny Jewish name I've ever heard. So I got Kelly pissed off at me for stealing it, and then pissed off at me for claiming that I put it in the show. I was getting eaten. It was like the toads start eating my head and eating my toes. They're going to meet in the middle, Great fun.
All right.
Great fun.
So you became that guy where people wanted to go, let's go get Jackie. He's the guy who the hate and the dislike. He was the character to go after.
What? I was sitting there one day a week for 3 years, and I started just passing ideas and lines to Howard. And he got to really like it because he'd say something funny and say something funny. So then we went to mornings. I was on 2 days a week. And then I went to 5 days a week pretty quickly because, truth be told, he was a lot funnier when I was passing him notes. But it was just two minds working. Like, if you're driving, you have to drive the car. You can't read the map. But if I'm not driving, I can read the map. So there's two different functions. So we were just absolutely killing. And but I got my balls broke, and I smoked a lot of pot and worked a lot of gigs and drank a lot. And I had this crazy laugh. So all the little character that I was almost enough to justify me being in the studio. So people had no idea. I was contributing a massive amount to the humor on the show. But so many people thought I was just the jerk that sat there. I was a target. When they needed somebody to pick on, they'd throw something at me, which was fine with me. I didn't care. It worked for the show, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then people meet you and they go, wait a minute. You're funny?
You would hear these laughter in the back because back then we didn't have internet, you didn't have YouTube, none of this. So a guy like me at this time, I was listen. Yeah, I was like taking the train. I was even going. This is now you guys were big because I was working at Circus Magazine as an errand boy. But before that, even before that, you'd hear like the Snapple, like you guys would do the Snapple commercials, and you do them so great, it was better than the product, you know. Or E. Vincent, the luggage, E. Vincent.
I tell people you have to really go back because some people go back. Like one guy told me, you know what? I liked it before the Baba Booey thing. Because you guys got so creative breaking Gary's balls. And once it became Baba Booey, there was no work. You just said Baba Booey, and there was the joke. It used to be Gary's ass, Gary's teeth, blah, blah, blah. And the people that remember, what's the name? The Roselli movers with the Mrs. Roselli carrying all the furniture on her back, and P.C. Richards. And I came up with a different set of initials every time we did it. And Jan and Craig's Window Factory and Snapple and Nutrisystem. Howard put those products on the map. I mean, took them from, it was the first time there was ever a Nutrisystem or Roselli Movers. And
or Snapple.
We go on, and the commercials would be Snapple, and the commercials be a couple minutes long because they were so funny. They were like bits, you know. That was great. And then we started getting car sponsors. And then how funny can you be about a car sponsor? And all of a sudden there's 3 car sponsors. Like, hey, how come I had one as long as his? And that's when he said, all right, I better just stick to the copy because nobody, you make one person unhappy, you're screwed,
Of course. But the skits were part of the show. They were better. Yeah, actually, they were better than having a guest on.
It was, oh, Jesus, Miss Roselli in the rain carried, and the furniture stuck to the hair on her back. Oh, it was so wrong, so wonderful. Oh God.
Was a lot of it spontaneous? Like how?
I don't think I ever wrote any of that stuff in advance because we never knew exactly what sponsors were going to be. And it was so much funnier when you just rattled it off. But some of them were so involved. I think maybe if I knew Roselli Movers was coming up, I would do something really quick, like the break before or something. That's a good question. I don't remember. In fact, I got people interested in. I have all my old notes from the show, every note I ever wrote, and it'd be interesting to go back and find those because a couple of those Roselli, the scripts, and then Howard would ad lib on them, and Fred would go wild, and that was some, a lot of people said what you said. The sponsors are funnier than the programming,
Yeah, absolutely. You guys were like the colors. You like put it all together really well. I took a clip over here because we're in a new world now, and people, back when me growing up and and listening to you guys, not even watching, before that stuff, listening to you guys when Bon Jovi was trying to make it famous even and come on.
Right.
I mean, that's how long I go back. It's probably nobody's gonna even know what the hell I'm talking about. There was a channel U68, 1985, Stay Alive and Don't Drink and Drive, Stay Alive in 85. Bon Jovi would come on, but that was
Stay tuned for Uncle Floyd. That was
Uncle Floyd
station.
The best stuff. That's like this show. I'm like a Joe Franklin type show. You don't know what you're going to get, or even I said one good question. It's probably the last good question I have. But here's a glimpse of what I'm talking about. I took from YouTube.
I loved Joe Franklin. He was a dear friend.
The best.
Which was funny because that's what he'd say. He's a dear friend. And Joe Franklin and Joey Reynolds, all those old school long form. Oh, and I've met so many crazy, wonderful, wacky people through both of them. And like you said, it was like the old Dean Martin show. You don't know who's going to come through the door. All of a sudden there's Gene Cornish, my high school idol, Gene Cornish, the guitar player of the Rascals. And we're sitting there breaking balls. And I'm like, wow, pinch me,
That's why I like doing interviews like this, where it's a conversation, because I got the notes here, but I can't read it all. I need a Jackie like you to stick it over me, and it's too hard. And I'm like looking, I go, a guy like you has been interviewed with all these podcasts. How do you take an interview like this and make it unique and original? It comes from the heart, and from my heart, I adore you and love you. You brought a lot of joy to me, and I got to thank you for that.
I appreciate that. You're embarrassing me, but I just shoot from the hip, and if everything makes you think of something else. And I don't say, well, I better not say that. I said that yesterday. But if something, spurs me on to something. But I've had so many people say, they ask you questions about the Stern Show or about when you left. And I say to myself, that's the same crap you said 20 years ago. I said, because I tell the truth. Of course it's the same thing I said 20 years ago. Jesus Christ. Mark Twain said, if you tell the truth, you don't have to remember anything.
You don't
it's really
have to
true.
remember. That's true.
No, because if you're telling the truth, it's always going to be the same story. Instead of, Jesus, what did I tell you? Oh, what did I tell her? Oh, what did I say? Oh, what did I tell her?
For people that don't notice, and I just found this out from even watching your documentary, because there's in that doc, you see your answering machines from when people used to call, and it's incredible. You still have that set up like that?
No. My sister and her husband now live in the house where I grew up.
Okay.
And that was the first joke land, and it was in the attic of my mother's house. When I quit music, which was a very wise choice, I quit music when I was 31, and I had no money and nothing to do. So I just threw everything out of my mother's attic and created my space, the first joke land. And then I got the bright idea for, it's a whole long story. But by the time I was done expanding, what you saw was that long piece of wood, maybe 8 inches off the table, with the 10 answering machines lined up. And the answering machines aren't there, but that long piece of wood is that setup is still right there. And it's it was very storybook. It was very the stories about that stupid line, that joke line. I really should write an entire book about it. And it got so out of hand and so crazy, and the whole world knew about it, and it's still going right now. And that freaks people out. People say, I used to call you line 20 years ago. I used to call you line 30 years. I used to call you line. And I say, yeah, well, dial it. And now everybody's got a goddamn cell phone. They take it out, 516-922-9463. Hey, this is Jackie. I love it when you use your finger and they're like, Jesus Christ. They feel like they're in a time warp. It's great. It's the same stupid,
I did it last night. I did it while I was doing some research. I dialed the number last night, and I'm like, I wonder if Jackie's like by the answering machine. He has an old school. I'm like picturing him, and like I'm calling him, waking him up, and the jokes were coming on, and I was like, oh my God, it works.
I have never been able to shut it down. And when I went from my mother's house, then eventually we had a big computer that an old friend sold me for so cheap. And it literally could handle up to 20 minutes per line. Wow. And for however many years, it was so if you called 516-922-WINE, there were 9 other phone numbers. So it rolled off. If this was busy, it rolled to the next one. If the 2 were busy, it rolled to the next one. And they were all in this computer. But the way the computer was, if you're talking on the phone, I mean, if you're listening to the jokes, if you hit the number 5, it will go to that prompt. Or if you hit 9, it will go to that. And they were all a completely different 15 or 20. You could have sat all night and heard different jokes all night on that stupid line. And people told me they spent so many hours just smoking pot and listening to the jokes, you know, like, what's wrong with this guy? And then, you know, we moved, we started making too much money, and we moved. So we went to 5 lines in our new office. And then Nancy and I got divorced, and I couldn't tell him to take the line out. Now it's the second line in my home phone. Like, I look over and see the red light flash. Somebody's calling dial show. I'm 75 years old. I'm too old for this shit. But it's great fun. It's great fun. You know?
I'm going to give you a couple of plugs right now. And everybody watching, this is Jackie Jokeman. And right here, I'm going to put up a screen right here. I want you guys to link's going to be down below. Check out Jokeman. You can Google it. You could stream it. It's on Amazon Prime Video. It's on Google Play, Fandango, Fangora, whatever you want to call it, Apple TV. Also, Jackie is on Cameo. You could get a cameo directed to your wife, your fiance, maybe your mother-in-law. Maybe you want to break up with somebody. Let Jackie do the dirty work. All right, I'll put the links for that. All links will be in the description. And check out his books. People, don't have alligator arms. Go. Links are there. Check him out. He's a blessing to have on the show. I want to thank my members for being here. Debbie Moeller, thank you for the super chat. I love you guys. And remember, who loves you, baby? We do. And we'll catch you all later. Hopefully we have Jackie back again. All right. Mwah.
It's Coffee Talk with the Tika. Nothing rhymes with that but chicken tikka. We name drop here with Stephen and all his friends.
Everybody, I hope you enjoyed today's show as much as I did. Make sure you click on the special box that pops up here and put your comments down below. We always like to hear what you have to say. And don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell to be notified so you don't miss any other episodes. We'll catch you all later. Who loves you, baby? We do. Mwah!